I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you, Colorado. Thank you for electing me to a second term as Secretary of State. And this is a historic win. As Colorado's first Democratic woman Secretary of State, the youngest Secretary of State in the nation, and just the first Democrat to win since Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, I thank you. And a big thanks to my team, Kyla, Celia, Claire, Abby, and Danielle, and all of our interns. A big thanks to Mario, my partner, my brother and sister-in-law, Chris and Emily, who just had their first baby on Wednesday. An election announcement baby. A thanks to my mom who is here, and of course a big thanks to my office, including Chris, Michael, Annie, and our whole team who just do a stellar job. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my opponent, Pam Anderson, for her many years of service to the state of Colorado. She deserves a round of applause. Pam has been a dedicated public servant who helped many states during the pandemic access needed resources to run elections, so thank you, Pam. Now, tonight is a victory, but it is just another step towards building a stronger democracy. It's already easier and safer in Colorado than when I took office 4 years ago to vote. In my first term, I led the largest democracy reform package in the nation, opening up access and increasing election security. We overcame incredible challenges, and in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, Colorado had the second highest turnout of any state in the country. Through it all, we have ensured that each and every eligible Coloradan has access to the ballot box, regardless of party affiliation, income, or zip code. Now, I know firsthand how important it is for every Coloradan to make their voice heard. I grew up in a cabin with an outhouse out back in rural Colorado. Growing up, my mom would work 2 jobs, but there were times we were on food stamps. There were times when we went to food banks. And I started working the summer after 7th grade to help and saw families struggling just like mine. That inspired me to be the first in my family to go to a 4-year college and then law school. And that's why as Secretary of State, I've stood up. I've stood up to election deniers, to conspiracy theorists, to those willing to threaten our elections, because I know that in Colorado, every voice needs to be heard. Across the nation, our country and our way of life has been under threat. The former President of the United States, in his thwarted effort to steal the presidency, has opened a new chapter in the history of the United States. The use of conspiracies and lies incited an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol in hopes of stopping the peaceful transfer of power on July 6th. The use of conspiracies and lies has threatened voting rights as voter suppression bills pass and try to stop Americans from having their voices heard. The use of conspiracies and lies had led to threats against American democracy, which in turn puts more of our fundamental freedoms at risk across the United States. The pathway to a stable country, to fair wages, to respecting women's autonomy, to fundamental rights is a strong democracy. And as long as I am Secretary of State, I'll protect the right to vote for every eligible person. I won't allow our elections to be threatened by anyone, whether it's a local official or the President of the United States. Every eligible voter in the state of Colorado, Republican, Democrat, and unaffiliated alike, has the constitutionally protected freedom to vote, the right to vote, which cannot be allowed to be restricted or suppressed in any way. I believe that the veteran living in rural Colorado should not lose their right to vote because they don't have a car to drive to a voting center. What I believe is that the 18-year-old working 2 jobs and taking night classes should not lose their right to vote because they cannot afford to register months or weeks before Election Day. I I believe that the single mom, like mine, should not lose her right to vote just because she can't skip a day's of wage to stand in a long line in a state across this country. I'm proud to be from a state that believes in freedom, that believes that standing up for the right to vote, that standing up for democracy, for women, for reproductive health care is just the right thing to do. Standing up for freedom, it's not some partisan act. It's not. It's about respecting people, our fellow citizens, in their pursuit of their own happiness. It's American to stand up for freedoms, and every one of us should do that always, every single one of us. Now, with tonight's victories across the state of Colorado, Colorado chooses the path of democracy, of free, fair, and accessible elections. Coloradans from every county, from the Front Range to the Eastern Plains, the Western Slope to the San Luis Valley, came together to vote for democracy today. And we must stand together, not Republicans versus Democrats, but as Coloradans, as Americans, to reject extremism and ensure our government is working for every single one of us. In my next term, we will continue to protect and expand every Coloradan's right to vote. We will push back on the election conspiracies that threaten our nation, and we will continue to make Colorado's elections the gold standard in America. We'll be able to do that because of the amazing work of so many of you in this room, so many Coloradans across the state who believed in our campaign, invested in us, and carried us to victory. I look forward to continuing the march towards a stronger Colorado with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.